Hello, I am Robert, and welcome to my channel, where I discuss everything about algorithmic automated trading, or simply algo trading. Today is the big day, the official release of the OANDA gridbot that I have been showing YouTube shorts on for the last 3 weeks that has made 73 real dollars with an exposure rate of $161 and a full budget of only $300. I'm going to go through this bot and talk about the displays, the necessities, and all the functionalities necessary for setting it up. So let's get straight into the video. You are looking at the bot actually running with my live pairs. And you will notice right away a lot of information. We're going to go through this information in detail and talk about all the different components. First, let's start right here with these first numbers. This is the amount of time in seconds that it took the bot to process this particular pair. So Euro USD took 1.86 seconds. The second part of this is the short side, or S. This is the direction that this bot is trading for this pair. It is shorting it. And the current session that it's in. New York, London, Tokyo, or Sydney. NLTS. And you will see these and only these letters for the sessions. Right now, the New York session is in full swing. And finally, for this section, we're looking at the Euro USD pair. That's the easy part. Now we get to all of these insane numbers. And there's actually quite a bit here. The first one is the number of actual active trades that I currently have open. So for Euro USD, I have 26 trades open. For my trades, my buy spread is right now 1.4 pips. So when I make a purchase, I pay the broker 1.4 pips of my total purchase price. Now I have this bot set up to dynamically pick my profit levels. So right now, based upon the statistical analysis of the current market volatility between the bid and the ask price, the auto profit is 2.5 pips. Now, if you've been watching over the last several weeks, I have been using a fixed rate of 5 pips for my mandatory profit. But I noticed as the markets slowed down that it wasn't maximizing my profit ratio. And I was actually being in trades longer than I should have been, which increased my level of accumulations that I didn't necessarily want to get into. Even though I made a lot of profit last week, there's risks associated with the sizes and the positions the bot was taking. So I wanted to activate an automated process that would analyze the bot in real time and analyze the market coming in and pick what it felt would be a reasonable profit level based upon actual real-time market data. So this number does fluctuate aggressively. And we'll show that more of that with different pairs in a few minutes. Now here for the third column of the statistics, this is the pip size used and separated by the number of units. So for example, in this case, 7 units or $7 or 7 shares. It depends on the price of the asset. But 7 units adds a 1.2 pip variance to the purchasing restrictions. And that's really what all these numbers mean, is how far does one purchase have to be from the other. For this column, you're looking at the amount of margin used. In this case, it's using about $1.23 of margin, so that adds an additional 19 pips to the limits of purchasing. And finally, we have a volatility spread. So the more volatile the market is, the higher this level is, which prevents unnecessary purchases that may not be in the bot's best interest. And finally, of this range, we have the number of pips required to make a sale. So basically, what this really means, from the standpoint of the bot in full defense mode, all of these numbers are added together, and whatever the current market price is, the price for a short bot must be above this combination. So whatever this combination equals to, the price must go up a minimum of that amount for a purchase on a short bot to take place. On a long bot, it's just the opposite. The price must go down the combination of what these numbers are in order to make a purchase. Now this will take some time getting used to, but these numbers are critical, especially when you're just starting out and trying to determine which pair you want to put real money in. Now this number here is my current active balance of the account. This is just so I can see what I actually have and what's going on. And finally, this last set of numbers. This is my actual margin used. How much do I have of real money exposed? Right now, for 26 positions, I have $10 of real money exposed. And my maximum threshold limit is $138. So the bot will not go above that limit. And in this case, that works out to 37% of my total budget. Now you'll notice here that this second set is 0. That is my total budget that I want to allow this pair to use is 0. This is how you tell the bot to back out of a position and let it close out. You set your margin limit to 0, and then it just sells everything off, and you walk away with your money. So let's restart this bot. And the thing about this bot that is important to understand is it can pick up where it left off without any issues. But it does not handle trying to start up, especially for the first time when the markets close, very gracefully. So if this is your first time running the bot, be sure you wait until the markets are fully open, as it does not do well in a closed market for a first-time startup. Because the very first thing it tries to do is make a purchase, and when the markets are closed, OANDA returns a market halted warning. So now let's go to a much more larger bot, and this is a demo bot, where I demonstrate all the pairs. I have roughly 65 pairs on this bot, and this is a demo account. This is where you should start. Absolutely, unconditionally, this is where you should start. So it's the same information as before, and you're going to see a lot of differences. For example, it took 4 seconds to process this currency. You'll see which currencies take longer and shorter and how they average out. This is normal. Here you'll see it took 6 seconds. I've had some pairs come back with 120 seconds for processing the entire amount of orders in the system. Short New York, Hong Kong dollar, Japanese yen, 41 current positions. And you'll see it has $69 in margin used and $100 in margin maximum. Now, the reason you want to make sure you always leave extra and never, ever overextend yourself is because sometimes things don't go always as planned and you end up with a slight overage. In this case, I have $103 used, but I was only supposed to use $100. So I went over $3 in that margin. It shouldn't happen, but because of market conditions, fluctuations, and pricing, sometimes it does happen. So you need to make sure you plan your risk assessment and your budget properly. Maximum. Do not go above 45% for your entire account. That means you need to actually evaluate and assess the number of pairs you have. If you trade 60 pairs, then you're probably only going to want to go with 1 or 2% of your budget in order to make sure the totality doesn't go above 60. It doesn't go above 37%. And in this case, with this demo bot, my size, I think, is 0.1% of a $100,000 budget. So you'll need to really think about just how you plan to trade. Don't overextend yourself, because it takes a standard ACH, a minimum of 7 business days to fully clear in your account. If you end up with a margin call, you will never get your money in quick enough to save your account. So this is why it's so critical, so important to make absolutely sure you take the most aggressive defenses you can in protecting your account. Now here we see a sell-off that made profits. Here's the price it made the sale. Here's the number of units. And it shows the balance and the margin used. And then you see that it made a replacement buy for the current price on the market. As the price moved, it figured out and it picked it up and it used this price. And then you see the number of units that it purchased at this price. The Asian markets can be difficult at best to work with because they require a large amount of budget to actually see any meaningful profit. So you'll want to really take your time to study all of the markets to determine which market will maximize your profit for your limitations. Now, when you're watching the live display, you'll see the actions and then you'll see the pair. These actions are for this pair. So the Hong Kong dollar yen is what these trades took place on. Now let's restart this bot. And you'll notice the command I'm using the launcher command. And then I'm providing the actual configuration file of the coins, of the pairs I want to trade. So use the launcher because things go bad, OANDA breaks, and the program gets interrupted. That causes the launcher to sit for 3 minutes and then reload the bot automatically. Okay, here we see the long bot and we see a long buy and you see a long sell. But you see no replacement orders. Replacement orders only take place when the price of the sale is within the consolidation price of the market. And we'll get into how it determines that a little later as well. But this is basically the whole point and context of how this bot works. It simply takes and analyzes the pricing based upon each of these levels of statistics. Now this is almost artificially intelligent. I say almost because the way the statistics combine gives it that appearance. This is a pure statistical analysis so that it can stay in line and within acceptable time ratios of the program operating as quick as possible. So, we just made another long purchase for 33 units. Now, we get to the folders. Be sure you update your relay before you try to install this, because I just posted an update this morning with a lot of bug fixes. When you click on, or when you use the install script, it will create the following basic folders: the home OANDA folder and the ticker data folder, and then it will copy these files over. Now, as far as your configuration, you will need to set those up. And you can use the examples I give, which we're going to go through now. Now, before I get too far into this though, I want to cover one thing. The OANDA config file for Jackrabbit Relay is a bit strange because it has some unusualities to it that you need to be aware of. For the API key, you need to use your account number. For the secret, you need to use the bearer token. And OANDA has admitted that there is a problem if you create the bearer token first and then create a sub-account. The new sub-account will not inherit the bearer token. You have to create your accounts first and then create your bearer token. Otherwise, you will have to revoke your bearer token and reestablish it for the accounts to receive it. And this affects every account within that section. So if your demo account has 2 accounts already and you add a 3rd one, you will have to reset the bearer token and give all 3 accounts the new bearer token. Okay, so now that we've covered that, let's get into the configuration. Here is the basic configuration where every element is required. Every element will be checked extensively. And this is really the whole process. Your account name. And this bot can manage multiple accounts in one configuration. So you'll see in this case, by looking at the bottom line, the account I'm using for my live bot is Cherry Blossom. You get into the asset. Euro USD is my primary right now. And now let's get into pip profit. You could set a raw number of pips that you want as your profit, which in my case I chose early on 0.0005 pips, or 0.005 points, or just 5 pips. But if you switch it to auto, then you're telling the system to take the bid and the ask price and calculate a reasonable profit level from that based upon actual market volatility. When the market is volatile, this number will increase and you'll get bigger profits. When the market is not as volatile as is right now, this number will decrease and it will scale to the market. In the case of what I demonstrated earlier, a pip value of only 1.7%. Not percent, just pips. So that meant after my buy pips and my sell pips, I was only going to make 1.7 pips of profit because the market was so slow. From the standpoint of the bot, this is deliberate because it keeps the bot moving. This whole process works on compounding. And even though OANDA shows you only 2 digits and the amount of money you make, it actually tracks 5 digits in real profit. So those pips count. Okay, now let's move to margin pips. Margin pips is where it takes the amount of margin you are using. For example, if your margin is $10, then your margin pips, if it's set to yes, it will require the price to move an additional 10 pips to make a purchase. None of these limits affect selling. Well, profit pips does, but margin pips does not affect selling, only buying. The price must move. Whatever margin level you have in pips, if this is a yes. Unit pips. This is the same thing. If you are purchasing 20 units, then that becomes a price requirement of an additional 20 pips to make that purchase, that the actual price will have to either go up or go down depending upon the direction of your market. Now we get into the fun. With the new bot iteration, you can pick where and what your bots start at in terms of your unit or lot sizes. For example, if you want to start at 1 lot, or if you use the word prime, it will pick a prime number below 20% of your balance as your starting lot size. So that could be, for example, if your balance is $100, Then 20% of 100 is $20. The closest prime number will either be 17 or 19, depending upon rounding issues. More than likely, because of the way the mathematics are defensive, your starting size is going to be 17 units. Now the step size. This is what gets added to each unit size as it makes a new purchase. Because OANDA is a FIFO-based ruling system, first in, first out, your unit sizes cannot be the same. They must always be different in sizes. If your unit size is 1 or your unit step is 1, then every order will go up 1 unit. If your unit step is prime numbers, then it takes 1/2 of your starting value and finds the prime number of that. So in the case of 17, that would be 9 is 1/2, 8.5, and the closest prime number to that would be a step size of 7. So you would start out at 13 units, and then it would go to 20 units for the second purchase, 27 units for the third purchase, so forth. And you can change these anytime you want. The program will automatically scan and make sure that it's not using the same number twice. And as the program builds its position sizes, depending upon your aggressiveness or defensiveness, it will fill in numbers in the middle as its balance changes, and it recalculates the entire process dynamically. Which brings us to your margin limit. This can be a flat value, like if you have $1,000 and you want to only use $370. Your margin will not go above $370, reasonably speaking, no matter how much balance you have. If you use a percentage system, then it will always take the percentage of that balance at the time of the trade. This is the highest and most aggressive growth rate the system supports. But, and this is a big but, you cannot withdraw any money without risking a margin call. Because as soon as a sale takes place, that money goes right back into the reinvesting system in order to grow the account as aggressively and quickly as possible. So if you want to start taking money out of your account, your margin limit must be a fixed value without percentages. Okay, let's get to the next one. Direction. This is very simple. Do you want to open your market positions in the long direction or the short direction? I am using a short direction. And now we get to the confusing part. Clustering. Clustering only applies to replacement orders. So as you saw on the screen, it had the word replacement for that one trade. In a clustering situation, clustering is required to match a very specific and aggressive set of rules. The first rule is, in order for a cluster purchase to take place, it must be within a price consolidation zone that is statistically calculated and maintained on a constant basis of every trade. So, and the second thing is, if that is true, then it uses the highest unit size possible. If clustering is disabled, then it uses the lowest unit size as possible. Or if the criteria of the current trade doesn't match the extreme requirements of the clustering rules. And cluster style is where you tell it and override how to actually run the system. For example, here I have an aggressive cluster, which means if my highest unit size is 500, then that will be used plus the step value for the new purchase. If cluster size is defensive, then it will try to find the lowest value that's non-repeating and use that as the lot size or unit size. And we get to the important part of this whole system, the part that makes clustering really work: confidence. In order for clustering to work and not just be a standard replacement buy, the confidence level must be 99.73% accurate. If it does not possess that level of confidence, it won't allow a clustered replacement buy. It will allow a regular replacement buy, but not a clustered replacement buy. The difference is the distance between the orders. On a regular replacement buy, it follows the same rules with your pip steps, your unit sizes, and your margins. With a clustered replacement rule, it does not follow those distances, which means if it's a clustered purchase, whatever sold off as is going to be bought back at wherever the current market is. This is a powerful money-making approach for this bot. As long as it doesn't get too heavy-handed, it can drive some huge profits. I've had profits within one single day of $11, driven by clustering only, because of the way the market was, where it would cluster up a bunch of orders, and then when the market dropped, all those orders sold off at once. And you'll see that in the videos that I have on the YouTube channel. So confidence is important. Don't get too crazy with it, because it can be quite vicious. Confirmation. This is in terms of the volatility. If it's yes, then the bot will automatically adjust the entry price based upon market volatility. That is, it figures out and calculates that as an additional defensive statistic to the entire process. Now, this may seem like a lot, which is why I left a legend of it inside the config file. And eventually this will go into a wiki file that gives it better format. And I tried to explain all the details a little better in writing as well. But that is the configuration. That's it, really. Very simple, very easy, and very profound in what it does. But the implications are quite important, which is why you need to demo trade your account. So when you're looking at the bot and you're working with it, take your time in setting up your configurations. A lot of it is just going to be copy and paste, to be quite honest. Once you get your basic blueprint, copy, paste it, add the pair you want to trade. You don't have to add them all at once. as I demonstrated earlier, for example, you can stop the bot, bring up your config file, wrong file. Make your changes in your account. Turn on margin pips, turn on unit pips, whatever changes you want to make. Restart your bot. And you need to use the launcher command and then the grid file configuration command. And it will make the changes, but it will also pick up where it left off with the trading in your account. Now, from the standpoint of your account, the thing you need to be aware of when you're working with this bot, it is not a background process yet. This is still experimental and it's still going through diagnostics. So you need to run a virtual console and then go from there with the bot. You need to see this information for the duration of learning how this bot works. You will find that this bot, while it is easy to use, sometimes it can give a lot of information. And we're going to go through some of that information now. I'm going to load the log. And here is my current log with all of the same factors, but in a slightly different format. You see the active market. This is the order number, the direction, another order number, because OANDA does that. When you place trades, it creates two separate order numbers. I sold. Here's the price I sold. Here's the units I made, my current budget, and my current usage of margin. And then you see the updated values as the bot progresses. And you see how my buys take place. And of course, the whole history. And this is what happens when things go wrong. If OANDA doesn't give a proper response, it gives an error message, the bot breaks, it leaves memory. The launcher program will restart the bot after 3 minutes, which gives OANDA time to clear out whatever went wrong, and then it picks up exactly where it left off. And you see, for example, New York, Sydney session, Tokyo, Sydney, Tokyo, Tokyo, London, 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 New York, and then finally New York, the current session. So you'll see each session changeover in the log, and this will help you to actually see where you are most profitable and where you are most likely to take up your accumulations. You can see that, for example, for this particular bot for my time zone, the London, New York session is the most profitable for me. You don't make money when you make purchases. You make money when you make sales. And that's the important part, and you see some of my unit sizes. This is roughly a 40 to 45 cent profit for this position. And you'll see that it's mixed in terms of the actual sizes. The point and purpose of these sizes is they stand out on the basis of when price is in consolidation. When you hit that magic spot and the market is moving in the same direction you are trading. So if you have a short bot and the market is moving in a short direction, it will load up on heavier position sizes based upon your current market systems in your bot. That is, it knows it has a higher probability of safer, bigger profits because of all of the statistical analysis it has gone through. And you can see very clearly this demonstrates really well with the prices. This was in a consolidation zone. This was in a consolidation zone. This one was not. Consolidation zone, not a consolidation zone. So you see directly how the consolidation zones work in relation to the unit size and how the whole bot tries to maximize profits in a real-time situation of your actual trading. But this sounds all fine and well, but the truth is there's more to it than that. So let's look at where things really happen. Your place order. The actual relay part that connects to OANDA and handles your trades. The part that when things go wrong, this is where you look to tell you where it went wrong. And sometimes you don't always get answers. Like when the markets are closed or there's an interruption in market service. As you can see, this is pretty standard, straightforward Jackrabbit logging information. You start out with the place order, broker, version, the order being processed, previous balance, the order information, the new balance, and how long it took to process everything. Straight out standard material. Now let's see if I can find a file that has a little more fun. Here is an example of what happens when things break. One of them is if you're trying to trade all 60 pairs at once, you're going to sooner or later run into this problem. OANDA has a fixed limit per account, and if it hits that wall, it breaks and it won't place the trade. So you need to be aware of that before it happens. So now let's come down here. Again, you see it. You will also see first in, first out violation error messages here as well. Those are normal. You can either, one, manually track down the original order and sell it as a loss, or two, leave it alone and let the market correct. That's personal preference. It will make a mess out of your OANDA CVS file though, so be aware of that. So as you can see in my demo account, I've got a lot of cases where I've exceeded the limits on my account. And this does have consequences. And you do need to be aware of what those consequences are. But again, that goes back to running your paper bot extensively. Don't take shortcuts with your demo account. This is one of the best tools you have for figuring out exactly when, where, what, and why, and how OANDA works. And it gives you the clarity you need to picking the right Forex pair for live trading. So that's really it. The bot is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Make sure you run the install script out of the Relay Extras example folder, and make sure it creates all of the various information. And the one thing I want to talk about is one of the file systems that gets created, ticker data. This collects huge amounts of data, and I mean huge amounts of data. This is how the bot is able to calculate all of the statistics. Very simple, very complete, and it can grow quickly. But it has a fixed limit that the program will stop at once it gets the amount of data it needs. If this file is damaged, it will make a mess. So it's not wise or advisable to make any changes to this file at all. And it creates this file for every single pair you trade. And you'll notice it's classified by account name and by pair. Realistically, your account can only be in one direction without making a mess out of your trading. So in this case, the account Lemon Meringue are my short trades. The account Strawberry Delight are my long trades. And it tracks on the basis of that information. Now, it would seem reasonable that if I'm trading the same pair, I should only need the same information. But that's not really what happens. As the bot runs, the data it collects will have a different timestamp on it and different unrelated values. The bot builds its data set based upon its real-time data collection as it happens. That's why it needs one file per ticker per account. So, hopefully I've gone through and explained all this. If not, leave a comment either in the support server or in below the comments sections. If you run into any bugs, please let me know so I can get them fixed as quickly as I can. Take your time with your demo account and really study which pairs are going to do well for you. Now, this bot was designed specifically for the 50-to-1 ratio of leverage or higher. If you're only using 10-to-1, it's not going to work as well because you're not going to get the advantage of leverage. You'll need a significantly bigger budget. So beware of that when you're deciding how much you want to use. And again, demo accounts can help you see exactly how that process works. So, like the video if you can, or I should say if it's been a benefit for you. Subscribe if you're not, and let me know how it works. Until next time.